Welcome back. This is Solidarity TV, your destination for independent views, grassroots politics, and much more at American University and the Greater District. I'm Mana Alibadi. Today, we're kicking off our roundtable discussion with our three guests, Russell Warburton, Jenna Latour-Nichols, and Stephen Fredericks, who are all here to talk about their experiences organizing around workers' rights and food justice issues. So welcome to the show, guys. If you guys could introduce yourself, tell us, what organization you are a member of or most feel comfortable talking about, and also just talk about your involvement in workers' rights and food justice issues. So you can start.
I'm Russell Warburton. I'm a member of the Student Worker Alliance. I got involved with organizing students around worker issues about a year and a half ago when I transferred to AU, and specifically with the Real Foods, Real Job campaign. Over the summer, I kind of worked with the union, did some house visits and met a lot of workers and stuff like that. I've been taking those experiences and trying to disseminate that information among students and get other students to care about mostly the worker justice side of the equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm Stephen. I do a lot of work here at AU with EcoSense. I'm also involved in SWA. I've been involved with food justice and environmental movement for a long time. I've done work with farmers markets and trying to make them more accessible for low-income folk. But I've got sort of plugged into the Real Food, Real Jobs campaign this semester, and I've been really excited about it because it sort of combines my passion for food justice and environmental issues and sustainability with the really essential component of workers' rights and labor issues. So it's a really exciting campaign.
All right. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jenna, and I'm a first-year transfer student, and I am involved with SWA, Student Worker Alliance, but my main work has been with Unite Here Local 23 around the Real Food, Real Jobs campaign, and I have been involved with organizing poor people's unions and unemployed people's unions around issues such as food insecurity, and community support for many years now. So I'm excited about working on this campaign on campus and making the link between workers' rights and environmental justice.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on the show. I want to start with you, Stephen, since you mentioned food justice. Now, when you hear that word or that phrase, a lot of people don't know what that means. So if you could explain that and then its connections to labor and environmental movements.
Well, I think when we talk about food justice, it comes out a lot from an earlier movement, the environmental justice movement. And I think food justice, we sort of talk about food justice because issues relating to hunger, food services, farm workers' rights are sort of connected to broader systemic issues within capitalism and our economy. So I think when we talk about food justice, we're talking about things like increasing food access, because there's sort of a structurally violent component to food access where a lot of people in lower income communities have way less access to healthy, fresh food. And it also ties into sort of workers' rights because a lot of people who work in food service industries are underpaid, overworked, and often they have struggles with food insecurity and things like that. And also farm workers are another huge component of the food justice movement because a lot of them have been exploited, underpaid, overworked. There's even, you see the case with CIW, Coalition of Immokalee Workers in Florida. There's actually human trafficking and slavery involved with, how our food is produced and grown. So.
And you've done work with urban farmers markets, right?
Yeah, I worked with an organization called Dreaming Out Loud, and we ran a farmers market in Southwest DC, and we tried to, I worked on helping increase the ability to use WIC and SNAP and other sort of food benefits.
Could you explain those acronyms?
Oh yeah, WIC, sorry. WIC is Women, Infant, and Child Benefits. For mothers who are nursing or pregnant, they can get WIC, and it's a monthly stipend. SNAP is similar. It's Supplemental Nutrition Program. Assistance Program, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It's also called food stamps, although we're moving towards the new acronym SNAP. But it's the same thing, monthly stipend. And there's also senior farmers market checks. If you're a senior, you can get supplemental funds from the DC government to purchase food at farmers markets that's fresh and local and healthy.
All right. Yeah. Great. Jen, can you talk about, you mentioned two things that stood out, Unite Here and Real Food, Real Jobs. So
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'll start with Real Food, Real Jobs. Real Food, Real Jobs is a community-based coalition that is made up of students and the cafeteria workers and the union that represents them, which is Local 23, Unite Here. It also includes food and faith people and social justice activists and any person who cares about sustainability issues, environmental issues, or workers' rights issues. So on campus, we are organizing kind of around, I think, as students and as an AU community made up of faculty, workers, and students. The two main parts of the fight for us are organizing around sustainability, and then figuring out how we can create partnerships with our administration to help them to recognize that sustainability exists in a much larger context than we are currently utilizing.
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so at our school, our school is very focused on the sustainability efforts that they've made so far. So like recycling is great, and composting all of our paper towels is really great, and having the garden, and then
tote bags at the library.
Tote bags, yeah, all of that stuff, and bringing all the food to a compost place in Delaware or wherever they bring it, since there's not one closer, is great. But there is more. Sustainability covers more issues, and we see that in the workers' contract negotiation that's happening right now. So sustainability has to do with utilizing food that creates sustainable communities, but also promotes sustainable jobs. So bringing in fresh foods into our cafeteria to support local farmers, ensure the health of the people who are eating that food, and then also to create jobs that afford people a life where they are able to provide adequately for their families and their direct communities.
Great, definitely. So Russell, could you talk a little bit about what's going on with Bon Appetit now? First of all, you can explain what Bon Appetit is, maybe some people don't know, and what their role is here on this campus, and then what's happening with their contract right now?
Yeah, so basically Bon Appetit is the company that AU pays to serve most of the food service in the university. This is a process about in the 70s. A lot of universities switched from having these employees directly employed and doing the food service themselves to private companies. The university thought it was cheaper or whatever, and it also creates this accountability gap where the university doesn't have to be concerned about what's happening in the cafeterias and specifically what's happening with the workers, and then the company though can still try to push the blame off to the university. So no one is actually makes it much harder for anyone to be accountable for what's happening, and that's Bon Appetit does the food service work at AU, and basically the past few years a lot of the workers they've been getting their hours decreased. So instead of getting 40 hours a week, they've been getting 35, 32, which makes it a lot harder for them to provide for the families, and it's basically a wage cut essentially. And oddly enough, at the same time that they've been decreasing the hours, they've been increasing the amount of work that they're expecting the workers to do every shift, which it's just incredibly increasing the amount of pressure that the workers are under during their shifts. And on top of that, sometimes to make up for these the lack of workers to complete all the work, they've been trying to hire temp workers, which are not part of the bargaining unit and are paid at much lower rates, which puts downward pressure on the wages. So lots of nasty stuff going on down in Bon Appetit. And I want to say last May the contract with Bon Appetit and the union, the workers expired. So since then they've had a few contract negotiation sessions. So
and so some of the demands of this new contract that you're trying to push for is changing the language to make it more sustainable, right?
Yeah.
So what does that exactly mean? What does that entail? Because
Yeah, so it's a combination of those more traditional issues that I was talking about, but also they also want to have kind of more power. They want to feel empowerment over stuff they're cooking and producing. I think one of the big things that happens is that the food service workers are becoming really de-skilled, and people individuals are taking the work they do for granted and kind of minimizing it. But it actually, when they're making fresh, sustainable food, it's like it's something that they should be proud of, and that's one of the aspects I know that the contract is trying to get at, allowing the workers to have a say over what they're making, to be able to call out management, and when processes are there that are preventing them from doing that, and things like that. So.
All right. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but thank you so much for being on the show, and we will be right back.